What is going on, everyone, and Merry Christmas. And I know you're probably looking at this guy thinking, who is this red-bearded man looking in front of you? It's not the guy you're used to seeing in all these videos, but yes, it is still me, StevoSupremo. Just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and let you guys all know that we made it to Washington safely. We made it to our move safely. And I just wanted to sit here and kind of talk about that a little bit, the moving experience, and kind of show off the little game room we're gonna have, the space we're gonna have to work with here now, and kind of the plans for the next video that's gonna pop up hopefully before the end of the year. So again, we made it safely. Traveling across the country was pretty insane. It was an experience I thought that was gonna be a lot more dreadful than what it was. And for those of you who don't know, I lived in Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia, and we moved all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, all the way out to Moses Lake, Washington. And that's completely across the country. I think unless you go further to the south of us, North Carolina, Florida, then you're gonna have a further drive. But it was a long, long drive. It was well over 2,000 miles. I wanna say it was like 2,500 miles we drove. And we actually did it within the span of 4 days, 3 nights and 4 days, with just pretty much constant driving for about 10 to 12 hours a day, and then staying at a hotel and sleeping. But it was actually a really amazing experience. And those who don't know me, I love to be chauffeured everywhere. So bless my wife, she drove like 97% of this trip, which probably most people think is weird, like the guy's always driving and everything, but I hate to do it, especially in places that I do not know. Now, if it's a place I'm familiar with, I'll drive around all day. But if I do not know it, then I get nerve-wracked, especially 5-lane highways and everything. I'm a small town guy. I can't deal with it. Like, it irritates the crap out of me. So my wife's a trooper. She took care of most of that. And anytime she needed a break, I'd try to step in to relieve her some. But she knocked it out most of all of it. So, but basically, I'm looking at a map here to tell you guys like the route we went and how many states we stopped in and where we ended up stopping. So I want to say it was 12 states total. Of course, we started in Virginia. Then this is all on the first day, cutting through Virginia, West Virginia to Kentucky, and then I think we nipped a little bit of Indiana, and then we stopped near St. Louis on our first day. That was the first day of traveling, which was on a Saturday, and I want to say that was the 18th. Yes, the 18th was when we started this. Needless to say, this is in Christmas time. We weren't able to do any of our kids shopping or anything yet because having to get stuff over here is an issue in itself. We rented a pod. It's like, do we get another pod to ship over here? But like, it can get costly. Even if you have the funds to do it, it's just like, is there better ways to do it? We ended up like selling most of our stuff, only shipping over what was necessary. But yeah, the Christmas shopping we were on a tight schedule because we had to get here to actually do shopping for the kids in order for them to have a Christmas. So leaving on the 18th, really, it was nerve-wracking, but there were factors with that. My wife had a little part-time gig she was doing, and she had to do it up until that time, so we had no choice. But anyways, getting off track. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states on the first day. And actually that drive was really enjoyable because there's a lot of good scenery, like there's mountains and rivers going through, like stuff I'm used to seeing in Virginia. I saw that all through that trip until you start hitting like near the back of Kentucky into Indiana, and then in Illinois it starts to flatten out. So that was day 1. Day 2, the goal was to get to, I want to say Denver. We were trying to get to Denver, Colorado for the second leg. And this was by far one of the worst travel dates because during this day, we drive through Missouri, go to Kansas, and I don't know if the route took, I thought I saw Nebraska pop up on our driving, like our map quest while we were going there. May not have, I could be mistaken, but I don't think it did. Yeah, through Kansas into Colorado, and Chance Doomwaves, love the guy to death, but man, his state is just driving through Kansas felt like torture because there was nothing to look at. Everything was flat, and you're on this one road. We're taking Interstate 70 all the way across, and it's like a straight line. And even though I wasn't doing most of the driving, like, you could just get droned out because there's no turns to keep you active. It's just going straight. Now the good thing is with these highways, it was like 70, 80 miles per hour was the speed limit. I'm not used to seeing that in Virginia, where 80 miles per hour was the minimum speed limit for the road. So you're flying through there, but it's just flat and nothing to look at. And man, like, I could not stand that leg of the trip. It was awful, like going from Kansas into Colorado. So that first half where we're driving through all those states, like the second day was only Kansas and Colorado, and that was it. And then when we're done, because those are long states you're driving through, and we were trying to evenly spread it out. So really interesting. Getting into Colorado, I thought I was going to see more mountains and stuff like that, but yeah, it still stayed flat for a lot of the time. And again, we wanted to stop and sightsee at places, but since we were on that time crunch, we just couldn't. We had to beeline straight across to get here. So yeah, that second day was pretty bad. The third day got a little, like, really nice. I really enjoyed the third day because when leaving Colorado, we didn't want to go into Denver, like, and stay in a big city. So we kind of stayed on the outskirts of it and started to drive on the second day, which took us into Wyoming. We kind of took a little beeline north into Wyoming, which kind of stayed flat as well, but there was a lot of good scenery around. Mountains were beautiful, but right when we started hitting Utah, our goal was to try to hit Salt Lake City area, kind of around there for the third day. And I forgot the city we stayed out on the outskirts of it, but it was a gorgeous trip. Like, seeing all the mountains and snow, like, Utah really became probably our favorite state we saw while driving on this journey. It was just beautiful. The mountains were covered with snow. They were just big and beautiful, and all the houses and everything around us were gorgeous. But in a lot of these areas we saw, it looked like it cost a lot of money to stay at it. But Utah is just one of those states, like, I just kind of forget about when you're thinking about the map and, like, a popular state to be at. But it was gorgeous, like, hands down the most beautiful state we saw. One of the more interesting things, though, was while driving through Wyoming and Kansas and areas like that, just the open field pastures. Again, it was nice in its own way. It goes to show that while living on the East Coast, everything seems so packed and crowded, like everyone's going to the coastlines. But out here in the Midwest, there's so much land still that is just so open with no homes and people overtaking it, that it was really nice to see. It was nice to see that there's still a place for wildlife and animals to be at, and without human interruption. And if there is need for potential growth for people to live, like, there's plenty of space in the Midwest. It just looked like if people needed to drive to a store, they had like an hour minimum drive to get anywhere to even go grocery shopping. So it was crazy. But again, that third day, going more through Colorado, Wyoming, into Utah, great trip. I love the scenery we saw through all those places. I got to see animals I've never seen before, like antelope and pronghorn and mule deer. Like, living here on the East Coast, I never see anything like that in Virginia. And I was an avid outdoorsman when I was younger, but it was cool really seeing all that stuff out west in person. I was hoping I was going to get to see like an elk or something crossing the road, but didn't get to see that. So the fourth day, the final day, again, was another good day because we had some energy to, like, you know what, this is going to be the day we actually were going to make it to our home in Moses Lake. And we left from just north of Salt Lake City, the city we were staying there, cut through Idaho, cut through Oregon, and into Washington until we made it to our home. And again, a lot more mountains and stuff there too. Pretty much like Utah, but more open fields and stuff and mountains we were going through. Started hitting some big rivers that were really nice and seeing going across. Oregon was again beautiful. Idaho started getting a little bit more flat, the area we were going through. Then it started getting into Washington where it's kind of flattened out too, even though there are mountains all around in Washington. But it was the last day. We were just so anxious to get and see our new home because we hadn't even been in this thing, and I fell in love with it when I saw the pictures and stuff of it, and just seeing it just was like, it's everything we hoped and wanted it to be. Like this space I have here, I can give you a quick, it is a big space. You can't see much, there's just boxes everywhere. This is like a, get the camera back situated here. This is like a 12 by 12 space, like biggest game room I've ever really had to work with. It's just gonna take some time to, again, we have to buy everything, the shelves and stuff to get all set up. But seeing the home really brought the energy back to us, like after the long journey. And it was just awesome. And all in all, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 states we hit going across the country. And we did it in like 40 hours, probably less. I think if you do put it in your MapQuest or whatever, Google Maps, it says like about 38 hours. And it was probably that, 38 to 40. If you count all the rest stops and stuff we took, it took longer, but it was not bad at all. Like again, I wasn't doing a lot of driving, and I wish we had time to actually enjoy some of the areas in the big cities we were at. We just didn't. Like I wanted to go to the Utah Jazz basketball game while we were there in Utah, but again, just didn't have time. And you're pooped after being in a car that long. And I just want to say thank goodness for Nintendo Switches, because I was worried about I have 3 kids. My middle child, she's 7 years old, and she gets car sick. And we were really worried about her through this trip to see if she was gonna make it. I don't do good in long trips either. But man, the Nintendo Switch for them kept them occupied the whole time. If they weren't playing a game, I would hook it up and I'd use my phone as a hotspot so they could watch YouTube and stuff all together. It was just awesome. Like technology these days, being able to help us on these long journeys, I'm so grateful for. I couldn't imagine doing it way back in the day where, man, you're just cooped in a car. Like when I was younger, driving to the beach and stuff for 4 hours was torture, because all you had is the radio. And most of the time you didn't like what your parents were listening to. So it's just interesting how times are now, but the trip was great. I could do it again in a heartbeat, like going back out. So when we go to see family and stuff, pretty sure we're gonna fly. But it was not a tough drive at all. So if anyone out there is thinking about maybe needing to go coast to coast sometime, the drive is not too bad. And we ran into some weather, freezing weather. Never really snowed on us, but we drove through snow in a lot of the West Coast areas we hit. One of our biggest fears was probably getting stuck in snow, but it was no problem. We actually had a roof bag on the top of our vehicle to assist with loading some stuff and getting it across the country. And I can't remember the name of it, but it did not leak at all. It stayed dry. I will post a picture or leave a link to it as well for anyone interested in a good roof bag that was cheap. I think we paid 89 bucks for it, and it made it all the way across the country. No leaks, no tears, perfect. Everything was great. So I can hear my kids outside the door now. So anyways, I just kind of wrap this up. Yes, we made it safe, made it in time for Christmas. We made it on the 21st. Couple of days to go out and get everything we needed to do for Christmas and got it done. We had a great Christmas today, just like I hope all of you guys did. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So once the room starts getting together here, content's gonna be starting to pump out like normal. I'm gonna be live streaming a whole lot more, pretty much full time here almost every day. Live streaming on Twitch, so I'll leave links to that below. A lot of card stuff coming up for Pokemon cards and even in the sports stuff now. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see immediate posts of that stuff, but I'll be posting videos of that. Actually, the next video is going to be showing off all of my best Pokemon pulls I had this year since starting to get back into the hobby. So it's not going to be showing the actual pulls. I'm just going to show all the cards, like all the best pulls from this year. We're going to recap what we got. So hopefully that'll be out before the end of the year. Anyways, enough dragging this on. Again, Merry Christmas, guys, and I can't wait to start getting the channel rolling again and pumping out, and here's to new beginnings. See you guys later.